The NHL has formally went out and approved and announced their plans to return to hockey with their draft lottery and a 24-team playoff. Still a pretty long ways away, but it's nice to see there is a plan indeed put in place here to finish out this NHL season. Right now we're talking, again, 24 teams make playoffs, 12 teams in each conference, 4 teams get a first round bye in each conference respectively. Boston, Tampa, Washington, Philly, and then you have St. Louis, Colorado, Vegas, and Dallas in the Western Conference. And there's going to be a round robin between those 4 teams in each respective conference to determine the seeding for said conferences. The other 8 teams from each respective conference will go on to play each other in a 5-game series qualifying round where they're not technically calling playoffs, but they're calling playoffs type of playoff round here in a 1v8, 2v7, 3v6 seeding type of format based off of point percentage in the standings. Should be interesting. The one thing I think of note here that you do notice is they're not quite sure yet if they're going to go by a bracket format or a seeding format once you get past the 1v8, 2v7, 3v6 qualifying round to play the teams on the first round bye. Logically, you would think, go by seeding. That is the point. If you're going to have these guys play round robin, of course, the round robin is huge for home ice advantage, but you want to have the advantage also of being able to go out and play the worst seed qualifying. That is the point of, having that first round bye, kind of saying, be like Boston winning the Presidents and then going on to face, the second or third best team, the third best team in their division rather than a wild card team. So it'd be ideal. I think it would make the most sense to see them go out there and say, hey, we're going to have the seeding done where you do play the worst seeded team, at least in the first round. It would logically make sense. We'll see what they do there. Either way, good to see that they're figuring out a way to get these teams playing games, 5 games to shorten up that first round. We'll see what they do for the second round, third round, or first round, second round, third round. Depends how you look at it here. But then there is the draft lottery. The draft lottery has confused quite a few here. It's not too difficult when you really break it down here to understand what they're doing. 7 teams that missed the playoffs obviously are gonna be in the draft lottery here, and then you're gonna have 8 teams that qualified for this quote-unquote playoffs and were bounced in the first round. So whoever out of the 16 teams, half of them are going to lose. Half of those teams are going to be qualified for the draft lottery. But for now, they're going to hold the draft lottery before playoffs start here in June. So for that reason, they're going to have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H be respective, so should we call draft lottery winners in the draft if they win, because there's going to be 3 picks up for grabs as per the usual in the draft lottery. But because they're doing it right now, they can't necessarily have team 8, team 9, team 10, team 11 already announced because the playoffs have not taken place. But to try to clarify this A, B, C, D, E, F, G thing, let's say team A is the 8th overall pick, team B is the 9th, team C is the 10th. So let's say team A gets flipped up on a card, they get the 3rd overall pick. That team A would be the 8th seeded team. The 8th seeded team would be the team, if we go from looking at playoff seeding formats, the 8 teams that get bounced in the first round, the 8 teams that get bounced in that qualifying round, you would take those 8 teams, you would pull them together and say who has the lowest point percentage out of those 8 teams. You would then take that lowest point percentage team, they would have the 8th pick, the second lowest would have the 9th pick, the third lowest would have the 10th pick, so on and so forth there. So team A essentially would be, say Chicago gets bounced in their first round and they have the lowest point percentage and that team A wins the draft. Chicago would then assume that pick in the draft lottery where they won it. And hey, I'm all for it. The NHL wants to get their name in the news. I get it. That is, the whole purpose of having this draft lottery earlier. And why not? This format works. It works if you want to get all 15 teams involved. And it works if you want to get, again, a draft lottery out before the playoffs do happen. My biggest probably pet peeve with it and problem with it is the fact that you are essentially allowing teams a chance to win the Stanley Cup, make no mention about it, a chance to win the Stanley Cup and the draft lottery in the same exact year. That is the big issue there. I mean, yeah, sure, they got bounced in the first round. Doesn't matter. They still had their chance. I don't care if you want to call it a qualifying round or not. They had their chance to make playoffs. These other 7 teams didn't. Typically, the 15 teams that do not make playoffs have 0 chance. No chance at all. They don't have a qualifying round. They didn't say, hey, Tampa, you got bounced in the first round last season. Here's your chance to win a draft lottery pick. No, that is not how it works. But because it is unprecedented times, I get what they're trying to do here, though. So it's not like it's a permanent thing. So it's all right. It's all right. We'll make it work. We'll see what the NHL has to do there for it. But hey, looking forward to the draft lottery and some playoff hockey coming.